Hi everybody, Cheaply Chic. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today I wanted to do a quick little project, and you guys, I know I shouldn't speak too soon, but this is the first time I have ever filmed and posted. Now mind you, I haven't posted it yet, so we'll see if I have to edit all this out. Filmed and posted a project video for a new collection before it's even been released and put into the hands of the people who wanted it. So I'm super excited that I've had this idea in my head ever since I was playing around with these bags. This bag is something that I used in the journal. Well, I'm going to use it in the journal itself. And I know that by the time this video posts, you guys have probably already seen this, but I just finished up these covers today. And you guys, I do apologize for all the traffic noise. Apparently everyone is driving through the neighborhood today. I don't understand. But anyway, I just finished up these covers, and the new collection is called Rooted in Hope, and I'm super excited about it. I'm definitely ready to play with another journal and another collection. It's been too long, I definitely can tell. But anyway, this is a paper bag that is included in the journal. And when I was cutting it down to fit, I had an idea for a journaling spot embellishment that I could add to the journal. So I wanted to do that ahead of time and share it with you guys. So what I ended up doing, because I had the idea, I actually had ordered these for July's kit because I loved the bright colors. So I was purchasing, multiples at a time. I'm going to repurchase it for the book in July because I wanted to include it in the kit portion itself so that you guys could do this project with me and I wasn't just using an extra bag that I had on hand, So this yellow bag is going to be included in the kit portion of the collection. All right, so these bags are larger than I had realized when I ordered them, but they were so pretty and they're like a paper. So I was super excited to play around with them. And just to give you an idea, it is about, if you measure from the top, very top of the bag, it is about 10 inches tall and 6¼ inches wide. So I'm just going to make a journaling spot out of this, basically a mini journal that I can tuck in my journal when I'm writing with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is work from the back of the bag. I want the top of the bag to be the outside of my cover. This is basically going to be my cover. And I am eyeballing it, but I'm folding in the bottom portion of the bag, the closed end of the bag. I'm going to adjust my bag a little bit so I can give you guys an exact measurement. Okay, I folded it at 3½. I folded it in 3½ at the 3½ inches mark. So if you wanted to use your scoreboard, you could, even though exact measurements aren't that big of a deal for this project. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do then before I go any farther with this paper bag cover is cut a few pieces of tea stain paper to use as book pages in my little mini book here. So because I folded this in at the 3½ mark, I am going to cut some book pages at 6½. Let's see what happens with that. All right, so because I'm going to put this in my journal, I don't want to add a lot of pages, but you absolutely could, and I think this would be so much fun. You could add quite a few pages, and maybe I'll make another one when I'm done with this, and we'll see what it looks like if for a little purse journal maybe. But anyway, let's start with a few. So I am going to just cut 3 pieces of paper at the same time, and it's going to be 6½. And then the height of my pages need to be about 6¼ So 6½ by 6¼ and I'm actually going to go just a little bit shy of 6¼ Okay, so then I'm just going to fold my pages. And of course I folded my papers the wrong way, so now I'm going to have a nice little fold line going across the book. I'm not surprised. I feel out of the groove. I haven't crafted in a while, well, other than working on the collection, of course, but Okay, so now I have my little mini pages in there. Okay, so for this journal, I have a few thoughts. This is just a paper bag, so it's not that sturdy. It could tear. If you wanted to, you could add some Tyvek material, like a postage envelopes, you know, like a priority mail envelope or something. You could add that type of material inside and it would strengthen this. Because mine only has a few little pages and it's just to journal one little thing, I'm not going to do that this time. If you don't have anything like that, you could also add just a piece of scrapbook paper on the inside, or you could just add some masking tape, which is also another great idea. So if you want to reinforce it, it could be a good idea, especially if you're making it a little thicker than I am. Another thing that you could do that I don't want to do, but you could trim this open. You could open this part of the bag, and that could also be a tuck spot that you could tuck things away in. I don't want to because I'm planning on wrapping this end of the bag around, and I want to use this as a pocket. So that is my thought there. The other thing that I would normally do is run this through my sewing machine, but I know a lot of you do not have one of those. So we're just going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I always say that wrong. Okay, so this is an old book and I use this all the time for this. So you could use a piece of foam. You could do this on top of a magazine, an old magazine, some junk mail. I just really like using the inside of this book. The other thing for those of you who are new, and I know there's a lot of you, you're going to need something to poke your holes. You could use, something this thin, you could just use a needle. This is an awl, and I know at Hobby Lobby they're sold in the like leather section with the leather scraps and like the leather crafting area. This one I picked up at Joann's and it was in the sewing notions section. So anyway, it's just something nice to have on hand if you're planning on making a lot of journals. But you could use anything that'll poke a hole. So I'm just poking one hole in the center, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom. I'm going to come in, about, I don't know, what is that, an inch? No, half an inch. Yeah, about half an inch from the bottom, poking a hole, and about half an inch from the top. So now I have 3 holes that I can stitch my thread into. So I'm going to use this thread. You could use any thread. I like a nice thick thread. Embroidery thread would be great. Anything you have on hand, use what you have on hand. If you have some twine, that's kind of flexible, that would work great too. And something that we all typically do to measure our thread for our book, how much are we going to need to sew our book, is we take about 3 lengths of the journal itself and then past a little bit. I do anyway. I like to make sure I have a lot to work with so it's not stressful. The other thing that I really like to use are these larger needles. This is, I think it was for dowel making when I picked them up at Walmart. I just really like a big heavy duty needle so it's easier to have, get a grip on. All right, so for a basic pamphlet stitch, in case you don't know, I am going to go down through the center here with my needle, and I want to leave a tail so I can tie a knot. And then after this, it doesn't matter which direction you go, you want to hold on to your little tail there, and then you want to go up or down, whichever. And you want to be careful not to poke any new holes like I just did. Sewing a journal is actually a little easier than this. This is super flimsy. All right, and then our string stretches across our page, and we're going to go back down through that last hole. Then I like to take my string and pull it up. I'm left-handed, so chances are if you're watching this and you're right-handed, you're going to be more comfortable going the other way. But I like to get a hold of my string, and then I can take my needle and poke it back through the center string. What you don't want to do is accidentally poke your needle through this string running through the center of your little book here. because that's going to cause problems when you go to tie your string. It won't be nice and tight. You want it nice and tight, but you don't want to tear your little booklet either. So that's a basic pamphlet stitch, in case you didn't know. Then I'm just going to tie it in a double knot. And I think I'm going to leave those a little long in case I decide I want to add something. I really like this whole little, it's a little mini book. So there we have a basic pamphlet stitch inside of our little paper bag. Now I really like the thought of having this little folded pocket on the outside. I think it's a fun touch. You can see that it's a bag. You might choose to fold yours over and add it to the inside, and you might want your front cover here. You could definitely do more decorating if you chose to do it that way. I really like this. I really like the thought of this, and really I could decorate the back if I wanted to. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a closure by adding an eyelet to the center of this outside flap here. Again, this is really flimsy, so maybe I'll make another video where I create something a little more substantial that could, you know, hold up to a little wear and tear. I'm just going to try to line this up and punch a hole so I can make my eyelet. It's helpful if I open it all up. So if you don't have any eyelets and you don't, you know, want to punch a hole in your bag, the other thing I would do and love is just staple some ribbon. So that's another option. Okay, I feel like I might be in the center of the bag here. I'm just eyeballing all this. Hopefully, there we go. Okay. And then I'm going to very carefully make my little squeeze here. All right, so in the collection itself, you will receive a little package of fibers like usual, which is something you could definitely use for this. So I'm just going to use this ribbon to make my closure. And again, because of the paper bag element here, it probably would be a very good idea to staple this instead of using an eyelet like I am. We're definitely going to make another one when I'm done. Forgive me, you guys, but I was so anxious to turn on the camera and just do it. I just wanted to do it. Okay, then my thought is I want it to wrap around a few times. And there we go. I could add a little button or something. In fact, I think I will, to that string. Moving back inside this little booklet then, the really cool thing about this is you could decorate this in a junk journal style, right? It could be a little mini journal of sorts, which I think is so much fun. And then you have this pocket here that you could add and tuck some things away, which I think is pretty great too. This is the paper line that I know I'm going to be playing around with in my Rooted in Hope collection. I actually added a few of these cut aparts just because I thought you guys might like it too. But it is called Flower Market, and it was by Cartabella. And in fact, the cover of the journals, it's made out of a piece of this paper. And I think the 6x6 paper also comes from this collection. So it's super pretty. I just love it. All right, so I pulled out the cut aparts, and I think just to keep things simple, I want to use one of these journaling cards to decorate my little booklet here. Now, because I chose to do my little wraparound like this instead of like this, it means that mine is going to get covered up, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I actually like that. It's like a little surprise when you open up the little booklet. I think I'm going to ink the edges of my card, and I'm going to use this Distress Oxide ink color in peeled paint, just because I think it's one of the deepest greens that I have. Yeah, I like that. And I'm just using the makeup sponge. I've been reaching for those lately. I bought a giant bag at Target, and they just work great. And then I'm not constantly replacing or looking for my little sponges for my ink dauber things. All right, and for the sake of time, I'm just going to glue this down. You could embellish that in whatever creative way you are feeling. I am trying to keep this a little flat. Not that my journals don't usually end up pretty chunky, but I should probably start out flat, since this is the very first thing. I haven't even worked in the journal yet. And I'm just gluing that toward the top. And then I have a lot of these little cut apart labels. This is from Tracy Fox. I will leave a link down below to these, but she has a bunch of just labels that you can print and cut. I did it on paper, and now I'm wishing I had them on cardstock, but that's okay. I think I like this deeper color. I'm just going to glue that underneath, and it's something I can label, you know, whatever I decide to write in this little booklet. I can just title it maybe. Okay. I like this a lot. I think the paper bag is just the perfect size for something like this. It's just so cute. And really, I need to decorate that, don't I? It needs something. It definitely does need something, but I think I'm going to save this, and it's a project I can work on when I am creating in my journal. And I know more about where I'm going to use that. So I decided to use a little button here on the end of my ribbon. I'm going to try to just feed it through here without going and finding a needle. One of the things that I have always loved ever since my scrapbooking days is using this ribbon and buttons. I just think it is such a cute touch. I have so many scrapbook pages with ribbon and buttons. I'm just going to tie the end of this ribbon in a knot then. My button slides around, but that's okay. I can tuck it under there. Actually, I made mine pretty long. I think I want to make it a little shorter. All right, so that is our little paper bag journaling spot, and it is just as cute as I thought it was going to be. Oh my goodness. And you can see how it will fit inside of the journal then. I'm really excited about that. All right, so this was super quick and not very detailed, but I hope you can see into my mind with this and how I just thought this would be such a cute embellishment for this upcoming collection. And just a fun little journaling spot. I am going to speed up the video and go through making the next one. I'll make it a little bit different just to give another idea, and we'll see what happens. So I decided this time around to add quite a few more pieces of paper. Not really as many as I had wanted to add. I'd like to see how many, pages one of these little books could actually hold, but not this time around. I decided I shouldn't push it. So I have a few more pages than last time. I also decided to do a couple little half sheets. Also, this time around, I decided to try Tyvek out inside the bag to see, if that made it a little more stable. I had this piece of scrap left over, so I was actually pretty happy. It's not that cheap when you go to buy it on Amazon, so I was happy I could use this piece. The thing that I didn't think about or check was being able to see through the bag, that you can see the Tyvek through the bag. I didn't realize that it was that see-through. So I decide to add some scrapbook paper on the inside. It's actually not as bad in person as it is under the camera lights, but I didn't want to see that Tyvek when I opened up the bag and used the pocket. That's what I cared about the most. So I decided to add some scrapbook paper. Now, something I wish I would have done differently was use a thinner scrapbook paper. I grabbed this one because it was cute and because it matched the collection that I'm going to be using, but it's very stiff. It's a really nice, heavy, high quality cardstock actually, so it's a little more difficult to fold. That's the only reason why I wish I would have chosen something different, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I also took it over to the sewing machine this time to run a stitch through there and to stitch my pages down that way, which I'm very happy with as well. So I decided to use another one of those journaling cards from that Flower Market collection. They're super cute. I'm also going to use my stapler this time and staple my ribbon closure to the front cover. This time I decided to keep the pocket in the back of the book and use the entire front cover and decorate that, and I think it's super cute. How many times can I say super cute? Really? I'm sorry, guys. I also decide to add a large pink button onto this ribbon, and instead of using thread, because I have to stitch it this time, I use this thin yellow ribbon to stitch my button on. I love that look, as I've already mentioned. So I love any excuse when I can find a way to add some flowers to a project. I love them. They're one of my favorite things. But I also want to be able to tuck this journal away inside of my bigger journal, like I mentioned. So I'm digging through here and trying to find some flat flowers. That's kind of a tongue twister. But yes, I don't want to add bulk. So I found these perfect little flowers, and I think they are, what's the word? Super cute? All right, you guys, so that is it for this little project. I hope that that was a good description of how to make these little paper bag journals or booklets. And again, like any junk journal that you would put together, you can add a mixture of papers. It's a mini journal basically, which I think is so much fun. If I really wanted to sit here and spend the time, I could make a whole little journal out of this. Any theme, any style, and I love that. And there's also so much you could do with this back cover. This Cartabella paper that I decided to use is a very heavy cardstock. If you know Cartabella, it's a great, nice, high quality paper. So it's a little thicker than I wish, and I wish I wouldn't have used it here, but I am thinking I will add some washi tape here. I'm gonna have to look, but I'm going to add a strip of something here to hide that Tyvek that is inside of that bag. But then I don't mind that paper showing through there. I think it's cute. But then when you go to add something to that pocket, it has a pretty layer in there and it's not just showing the Tyvek. But if I were to do it again, I will add a thinner paper so it's not so stiff. And then, you know, there's so much you could do here. If you wanted to add a magnet and magnetize that closed, that could be fun. You don't even have to keep this as a pocket. You could sew it shut and make a little tuck spot right here. Instead, glue it shut, whatever, staple it. I love that. And then here on the cover, you know, I'm showing the staples here, but you could glue some flowers over that or glue a button over that or something. There's so much that you could do with this. Now I have hot glue strings all over, but I just think it's such a cute idea. And I just wanted to hop on here and share it with you guys. I don't know if maybe I will decorate one a little bit more later when I'm working in the collection itself. We'll see. But I hope that those of you who purchased the collection, you know, have fun with that paper bag, because I was super excited about it when I saw how large and colorful they were. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.